Ooh, good morning, everyone. It is the first day of the Blueprint Live Reloaded. As you can see, we're going to be talking about how to build a breakthrough business and step into your best self unapologetically. And we're going to make the next 6 months the best 6 months of the year in your life and in your business. I am Patrice Malloy. I am the Affluent CFO, also known as the Financial Fairy Godmother and your Wealth Care Concierge. I will be your host for this series. We're going to be talking about a number of things. First and foremost, it is Q4, y'all. Tomorrow starts Q4. And I want to tell you something about Q4. First and foremost, champions are made in Q4. Okay, this is the time when coal is turned into diamonds, where we put that pressure on our goals and dreams so that we're able to actually achieve them. One of the things that typically happens is that we get a little bit lax over the beginning of the year if we don't initially hit our goals. And what I want you to do is reframe your mindset and think about a different way to approach this. We want to make sure that we were able to still remain on target and on task to reach our financial goals, to reach our business goals, and to reach our personal goals so that we are able to really look back at this year, 2024, and say, well done. That is my desire for you. All right, so we're going to kick this off by talking about that. I think one of the main reasons that we have some challenges with actually doing that, and by the way, if you haven't registered, click that QR code. One of the reasons why we haven't been able to do that is because of our mindset. If we do not reach a goal initially, if something happens and we're unable to, bounce back the way that we thought we would, we tend to forget about what we need to do. We tend to stop showing up. We tend to stop thinking that it's possible. And that's when we have our challenges and our problems. So I want us to really get mindful about that. I want us to get very much clear on what it is that we still want to achieve and focus on that. So that's what we're going to do. This is how we're going to open up this experience. Again, ladies and gentlemen, it is a Blueprint Live experience, okay? It's not the blueprint. Patrice is just going to tell you what to do, and then you're going to take some notes and then go home and not do anything with it, all right? We are actually going to be doing something interactively live so that you can take home something tangible, so that you actually see some transformation in this next 9 days, okay? So with that said, what I'm going to do is go ahead and open up my handy dandy workbook because you know a girl loves a workbook. And I want you all to see this. We're going to walk through, like I said, that mindset because that piece is so important. It does not matter what your goals and dreams and things are if you don't have your mindset fixed in a way that's going to be focused. And when I say focused, I mean relentlessly focused on what it is that you desire to achieve. It's got to be fixed on how you're going to achieve it, okay? Many times it's the who, not the how. But if you have an idea of what you want to do, you're able to have those other pieces come into place. So that is why it is so important for us to start with this. So I'm going to go ahead and start to share this with you. If you want to get a copy of the workbook yourself so that you can follow along, let me go ahead and get you a linky link. I'm going to drop that in there so that you can actually follow along as well. I want you to be able to have access to these resources because it is important and because that's what you're going to use for your homework. Okay. All right, let's add this to the stage. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please let me know if you can see this. If you cannot see this, please let me know as well, because I want to make sure that we were able to get access to the people. Everyone needs to be able to have access before we start. So I'm going to give it just a second, make sure I'm able to see what's happening. And then we're able to get you all set up, okay? Alrighty, so I'm checking. I don't see anything. Let's see. Give me one more second. All right, y'all. That means it's time for us to go. Okay, let's dive into this. So the Blueprint Live Reloaded is a series that we have rebranded, essentially. We did the Blueprint Live. This is Reloaded because we want to focus on powerful positioning and pricing in Q4 so that we're able to reach those revenue goals. This is your no-nonsense guide to powerful pricing and profitable business mastery. You like that, right? All those P's, all that alliteration. So I want to say welcome. This is a real deal. So this is what I want to say to you on my heart, ladies and gentlemen. You know I love you, but I got to give it to you raw and real. Okay, this is not a fluffy feel-good workbook. This is supposed to be for your transformation. It is a companion guide. It is going to help you dive deep into what it is that's going on in your business, in your mind, in your money, and help you reframe that so that you're able to reach those goals before the end of the year. And then into 2025, because things are going to shift in 2025 as well. The market's going to be different. People are going to be quitting, quite honestly, because it has gotten quite challenging for a lot of business owners or people. So if you are positioned in the correct way, or if you have the tools and the techniques and the resources and the support system, you can absolutely thrive in 2025. So I just want to put that out there. So we're going to confront some hard truths and we're going to be making moves that are going to change the trajectory of your business and your life. Again, if you have not met me, my name is Patrice Malloy. I'm the Affluent CFO. I've also been called a financial fairy godmother, and I am your wealth care concierge. And again, I'm your host for this series, and we're about to shake some things up. So, how do we use this workbook? First and foremost, what I would love for you to do is commit fully. So, I would love for you to show up every day ready to do the work. No half measures, no half assing. All right. Sorry, but that's what I'm saying. We're keeping it real. We're not going to show up halfway or partially engaged. Okay. Because what's the point? We're going to be brutally honest. This is your mirror. Okay. Do not shy away from what you see. You may not necessarily like it or love it, but the reality is we need to see what it is so that we can start to make changes. I would love for you to take decisive action. Insight without action is worthless. Like we said, what's the point of taking all these notes if you're not actually going to do anything with the information, the resources, the material, the guidance, the consulting, the support? Like, why, right? We want to implement, execute, and repeat. And then my thing is, I would love for you to stay unapologetic. So this journey is about owning your power without excuses or apologies. It is what it is, like it or love it. Now, are we going to change it? Okay, so that's the kind of mindset I'd love for you to have as we approach this. Targeted truths lead to transformation. I just want to share that with you. That is what I tell my clients. That is what I tell the people that I work with. We cannot be clear if there cannot be a situation of candor here. If we're not able to do what we need to do, what's the point? I can't help you. If you're not going to be honest with yourself and you're not going to be honest with me, it's not going to work. So I really want you to start thinking about that. Targeted truth leads to transformation. We don't want to just change, right? So I saw an example of what changes. So I have this thing of chapstick in my hand, right? If I'm changing, I went to my coach and I said that I want to do X, Y, and Z. And she's like, do this, Patrice. And I'm like, okay, I'll do that. So I kind of change a little bit, right? I'm changing the direction. Then I come back the next week. She tells me to do it again. So I've changed the direction again. And then I've done a little bit more. So I've changed the direction, but I haven't changed the scenario. I haven't changed where it is that I want to be. Transformation would be saying, I'm going to take this chapstick information that she gave to me and I'm going to turn it into this. And in case you can't see it, it's like hand lotion, but that's transformation. It's completely different from where you started. It is what you used and what you leveraged to make a change in your life. That was not just temporary. It was something that's ongoing. It is iterative. Okay. So that's what I want you to think about when we talk about change. This is the importance of applying wealth care in your life and business. We're going to be talking about unapologetic wealth care, and this is consistent in that mindset that we talked about. All righty, next page. All right, foundations. One of the foundations to embracing your unapologetic mindset is to identify key truths. So there are two that I want to focus on. Number one is that your well-being is non-negotiable because it is, right? We're not putting ourselves on the back burner anymore. We're not focusing on other people outside of ourselves. And by no means am I saying that you have to be selfish, but what I am saying is that you need to put yourself first in this instance for this period of time, for this season, because you need to be able to do what you need to do to move to the next level in your life and in your business. And the next thing, self-care is not selfish, it is strategic. And we're all about strategy over here. So you need to make sure, again, that you're putting this in the forefront and making it a priority because you need to leverage this as a strategy, again, to get yourself out of that hump, to get yourself out of that lull, that valley, whatever it is that's keeping you stuck and stagnant and transition to that next spot that you need to go to, right? We need to be looking up at the mountaintop because a lot of people right now are in valleys, me included. I'm just going to be honest. A lot of people are going through some things right now and they're trying to figure out what do I need to do to get out of it. But the reality is, a lot of us are in this valley because we need to go through something to get to that next level of transformation. So I don't know who needed to hear that today, but that's the word. Okay. You may be in this valley because you need to go through something that's going to sharpen you and help you get to a better spot in the next season, which is going to be Q4 or maybe in 2025. Okay. I digress. Anyway, this is the first exercise that we're going to do. We want to craft your wealth care declaration. These are my instructions. Write a declaration that boldly states your commitment to prioritizing your well being. This is an example of what I said that I'm going to do. I prioritize myself unapologetically because I am the driving force behind my success. Now, obviously, it's not just me; it's God, right? And me and what He's positioning me to do. But ultimately, if I don't do what I'm supposed to do, if I don't show up, if I don't, let people know what it is that I do, if I don't nurture my clients, if I don't show them the transformation that they're looking for, then they're not going to be looking for me either, right? So I need to show up. I need to be visible. I need to support the people that I'm looking to serve. I need to do everything that I'm responsible for in my piece of that transformation for the people that I work with too. Okay. So that's what I mean by that. Again, my example is I prioritize myself unapologetically because I am the driving force behind my success, meaning nobody else can do this for me. Okay. My God will give me what I need to show up and do what I need to do, but nobody else can do it for me. Like I can't, tag somebody else in to live my destiny and to live my truth. So that is what I mean. Now it is your turn. So what I would love for you to do is craft your wealth care declaration. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys just a few minutes because I want to make sure that you are doing this. Again, this is interactive. We're not playing around here, right? We didn't come here to play games. We came here to make moves. And if you didn't come here to make moves, then maybe this isn't the right place for you. I'm just saying. And no shade. All love. But again, we are doing things that are going to actually create transformation in our lives and in our businesses. So you have to actually participate. So, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and give you just a couple minutes. And while you're doing that, we're going to talk about the next piece. So, go ahead, do that, please. And then let me know if I'm missing anything, if you need anything else from me. Um, if you cannot access the workbook and you cannot see this, please also let me know. Shoot me a chat. And then I'll go ahead and make sure that you have access to that. All righty. So, let's go. I should play a little like music, right? I'm going to give you all like 30 seconds. So let me set my timer real quick to make sure you have enough time to go ahead and craft this. Now, ladies and gents, this does not have to be like really detailed. It doesn't have to be, thought provoking. It just needs to be something that's going to be able to s- essentially serve as your North Star to get you to the next level. Okay. Alrighty. So I've got my clock set for actually 2 minutes. So go ahead and start. And then in 2 minutes, we'll go ahead and move to that next piece. All right. All right. Let me know if I should get some music, y'all. I thought about getting music, but you know how they like mess with you and talk about all the royalties and the copyright infringements and all those things, and I don't want parts of that. So I can hum for y'all if you want to. Let me know, and I'll hum for you. All jokes aside, I just want to make sure that we're doing these things, okay? All righty. We've got a little bit of time left. A little bit of time. Okay, okay. All right, y'all. We got about a minute left. So think about it, finish up, because again, I want you to take this. We're going to build upon this for our next pieces. All right. So we got about another 50 seconds. Go ahead and make that work. Okie dokie. Okie dokie. All right, I'm gonna take a little sippy sip, y'all. Y'all do that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, 15 seconds left. Mhm. Alrighty, time. So I want you to go over what it is that you came up with. Think about this, keep it in mind, and keep it in the forefront because we're going to be using this as we measure uh, our boundaries, as we continue to go through the rest of this information. I want you to be able to just to make sure that you have everything that you need. Okay. All right. The next thing is going to be setting a hard boundary. I want you to identify one area where you're spending yourself too thin. Where are you juggling all the balls? Where are you juggling all the plates, all the responsibilities, all the things? Identify that. And then I want you to understand that it's time to draw a line. We need to set a boundary. Here's an example: working past 6 p.m. If you're a mom or, even with a spouse or a loved one or a significant other, and you're working all these hours and you can kind of tell that it's becoming a problem, you can consider something like setting a boundary and working past 6 o'clock, depending on what time you start in the morning, right? You can set a boundary on not answering phone calls or looking at emails after a certain period of time. You can set a boundary on, not working on the weekends, not accepting text messages or client calls after, 5:30 p.m. on the weekdays. And most certainly not listening to them or talking to them on the weekends because we don't work on weekends, right? I mean, unless you do. But if you don't, these are some of the things that I'm thinking about. So set those boundaries. And then the second part of that is that we have an action plan to enforce it. So an example of not working past 6 p.m. is shutting down your laptop at 6 p.m. sharp, no exceptions. Okay. I am guilty of this. A lot of times I'm like, I just want to finish it. I want to finish it because I have a hard time when things are like hanging over my head. Like I just have to finish something. So I've been a lot more mindful of that and I've gotten a lot better at that. But my husband and my kids will probably tell you a little bit different, but I'm working on me. So that's what I want you to start thinking about. What is it that you are going to do that's going to shift the way that you are doing business right now? And it's going to help to add to your wealth care. What's going to help, give you those boundaries, give you that space, give you that additional mental capacity that typically we don't have at the end of the day because we're just exhausted from all the decisions that we have to make, for all the things that we're responsible for doing, etc. So once you start to think about that, we're going to want to start to talk about spotting and eliminating burnout. And we're going to do this self assessment, which I think is also very important because a lot of times we are on the verge of being burnt out or we are just doing too much and we don't even understand it because we think it's just par for the course, right? It's like we just got to do it. We got to show up. We got to keep pushing. We got to keep moving. And unfortunately, that leads to a lot of negative things in our bodies. It leads to stress, inflammation, weight gain, or weight loss. It can do, it can lead to things like sleeping too much or not sleeping enough. I mean, there's a lot of things that can happen when our bodies are not regulated the way they're supposed to because we're doing too much, because we're stressed out. So I really want you to start thinking about that and taking that into consideration as well. And then what we'll do, like I said, is just we're going to go through the self assessment. So I'm going to make sure that you have that self assessment as well so that you can follow along. Give me one sec while I put this into the chat because this is important stuff, ladies and gentlemen, especially for my ladies. A lot of times we feel like we're being selfish because, you know, we want to focus on ourselves, but you have to be able to do that. Let me put this in the chat. And again, please let me know if you are unable to see this. But this is the document that we're about to go through. It's our self-assessment document. And here we go. All right. Hopefully it'll be great. And let me post it in the chat. All right, here we go. So please let me know if you're able to see it. Alrighty. And I will put this at the bottom of the chat just in case, because I do want to make sure that you have everything that you need. And we're going to go ahead and look at this, okay? Now, it's going to ask you to make a copy. So please go ahead and do that. And then we're going to prepare to look at this, okay? All right. So again, please let me know. I just want to give everybody a few minutes because we need to make sure that we're able to see everything that we need here, because otherwise it won't make sense. Okay. All right. All right. Let's see. I'm checking the chat and seeing if anybody has had some challenges with accessing it. Okay, I didn't see anything. Alrighty. All right, y'all. Sorry, one more second. This is not letting me be great. All right, I'm about to share this with you so we can walk through it really quickly. And just keep in mind that you don't have to do this right away. Okay, we're not going to be able to finish it probably today. So this is going to be our growth work, like I like to call it, because we want to take time to actually go through this. I want you to make sure that you actually understand what's happening here. I want you to understand how you're feeling when you're answering these questions too, because it's very important for us to be able to really think about that. Your body tells you so many important things. So really pay attention to how you feel as you're answering these questions. And I appreciate y'all's patience as my tech allows me to tech. Alrighty. All right, guys. Thank you so much for your patience. All right. So this is a holistic health check that we talked about. Now, what we want to focus on is our financial well-being. Okay. We need to make sure. Oh, actually, you know what, y'all? I'm so sorry. That's not the right one. I had a different thought in mind, but actually, this works because we need to talk about that as well. We need to make sure that as we're setting our boundaries, that we're thinking about this in a monetary sense as well, right? Because after all, we're not in business for hobby. We're in business to actually do something, right? To create impact, income, leave legacy, to support people, all the things, to leverage the skills that we've been given to impact people in a positive way. So when we're thinking about those boundaries, we want to think about our money flow. Do you have, or excuse me, do you know where every dollar is going? So we're going to give yourselves a score based on these questions. And then what I'd like for you to do is list the top 3 expenses and consider how they align with your values. When we're talking about values, we're talking about things like charitable giving, contributions, obviously paying your bills, making sure that you're whole there, investing, saving, all of those things. So those are some of the values we're thinking about. What are we going to do with our money? What's the point of us making this money essentially? And then are these expenses investments in your future or are they drains on your potential? A lot of times we think that as business owners, we have to have all the new shiny objects and all the new things and be up to date on all the tech and innovation. But the reality is, we're not making enough money to really sustain that type of innovation, if you will. You can absolutely do what you need to do with the spreadsheet. You can do what you need to do with the PayPal link, right? So it's like really thinking about these things. We get so caught up in keeping up with the Joneses and all the other business owners that we forget that we just need to make sure that we're doing what we need to do to get the money that we desire so that we can then reinvest that into our business to help other people. So I really want you to start thinking about that. What are those top expenses? And do you know where every dollar is going? Because I can tell you a lot of people that I work with, especially my clients, do not know where every dollar is going. If you ask them, they're like, yeah, I know money came in. I saw it, hit my bank account, or I know I got that like Stripe, communication, but I don't know where it is now, right? It's the end of the month. And unfortunately, we're down money. We don't have enough to cover our bills, or maybe we don't have enough to cover payroll, et cetera. So we really want to be mindful of those things. You need to always know where every single dollar is going. If you do not assign your dollar to something, it's going to just go out the window, essentially. Okay. Every dollar needs an assignment. The next one is your financial freedom score. So on a scale of 1 to 10, financially, how free do you feel? 1 is being trapped, and then 10 is being completely liberated. Again, this is a time where a lot of people are feeling the squeeze. There's been so much change and volatility in the market, in the economy, in the interest rates, with inflation, with people, going out of business, with people uh, kind of going on this like trust strike, right? Because of all the things that happened in 2020 and during COVID, where people were burned based on these people who made all these promises to them. So for the people that actually did create transformation, who worked very hard and were, honest people, they're having a hard time getting clients now. It's taking much longer for them to actually convert into paying customers. So, what are some of those things that are potentially impacting your financial freedom? So again, I'm asking, are you feeling trapped or are you feeling completely liberated? And then as we think about that score, what's one thing you could do this month to move that number up by at least 1 point? All right. And when I'm talking about financial freedom, it's not always about money. It is about what money can do, right? The opportunities, it opens up doors and all those things. But what are some of the other things that would free you up as well if you had money? So, like we said here, sometimes freedom isn't about making more money, it's about making better decisions with the money that you have. So, think about that, right? That's a word for somebody. What are we doing? Am I being the best servant of the money that I have that I can possibly be? Or am I, you know, having some challenges in that area? Is there room for improvement? So, really think about that too, because listen, I've had this happen too. You're making all the money and you're doing all the things, but then you're like, oh, because I do have all this extra money, I don't necessarily need to keep as close an eye on it as I used to. I don't have to necessarily be as good a steward of the money because I know that I've got more coming in. But here's the deal, things happen, layoffs take place, people get sick, all kinds of things happen, and that money that you were counting on evaporates in an instant, right? So you really have to be mindful of those things. The third one is called your debt dialogue. All right. So, are you carrying debt that feels like a weight on your shoulders? We're talking credit card debt. We're talking about maybe loans that you took out for your business or for your personal side to cover something, refinancing your home, working on your debt snowball, like, Dave Ramsey talks about. What are some of these things that may feel like weights on your shoulders? And what I would love for you to do after you identify those things is to identify a strategy that's going to help you start to reduce that burden. All right. So is it something like, maybe paying double this month on our lowest credit card payment? Maybe it's, calling the loan company and seeing if we can renegotiate the terms, or maybe you can do, a refinance if you need to. So it's all these things just to put on the credit and all these other factors. But what can we do that's going to help us in this instance to take some of that weight off of our shoulders? So I'd love for you to start thinking about that. And I also would just like to leave you with the fact that debt doesn't have to define you, but how you handle it does. Okay. Many, many people have debt. And the reality is some debt is good. If it's something that's allowing you to uh, improve your assets and to do things that are going to be better for your business, go for it. But if it's something like, a car or something else that you spend a whole bunch of money on that's not going to be an income producing asset for you at some point in time, that's going to help you become better, we probably should have made a different decision. We all do it, right? This is not about bashing people about decisions that they made, because I made some decisions, y'all, in the past. And I was like, Lord help me. But it's just being mindful of those things and understanding them and identifying them and making sure that we don't do them again. So this is what we're talking about. And that leads to our emotional well-being. So I just really want you to ask yourself deep down, like today, how are you feeling? I want you to check in with your stress levels. Are you stressed today? Did you wake up feeling good? Did you wake up feeling nervous? Have you been feeling really anxious lately? Have you had, fearful thoughts? What's the feeling that you've been having lately? So I really want you to tap into that and hone into that, because first of all, even though we try to hide things a lot of times, people who are closest to us understand that something's happening. So our children are really, really good indicators, or barometers, I should say, of our feelings. So really tap into that. How are you feeling? Our spouses, our significant others, our parents, our, siblings, good girlfriends, close friends, all those. So they understand. So just be mindful of that. People know when you're dealing with something. So think about how you're feeling deep down, and you want to just check in. What's your stress level on a scale of 1 to 10? One is being as cool as a cucumber, or 10 is being overwhelmed. What are the top three sources of your stress, and how can you start to reduce or manage them? So, what is it? Is it the fact that sales are not coming in the way they're supposed to? Do you maybe need to hire somebody, but you aren't sure of the income that you need to do it, or you're not sure how to set aside the income to hire somebody? Maybe you have somebody who's working for you, but they're not working out. They're not, living up to the vision that you had. And if that's the case, we have to ask ourselves, did we set our employees and our staff up for success? Because a lot of that is our responsibility. We need to make sure that they come into an environment where they have resources and they have tools and things that they can reference to make sure that they can do their jobs to the best of their ability. Right. So if that's the situation, maybe we need to think about Did I train them right? Did I give them all of the tools necessary to be successful in this role? And if the answer is maybe or no, then we need to revisit that. Okay. So those are some of the things we're talking about. So again, what are the top three sources of your stress and how can you start to reduce or manage them? And I just want to tell you that stress is a silent energy drain. It drains us and it keeps us from being great and from showing up the way that we want to show up and from being able to achieve the things that we have on our goals list and all those things. So we need to identify its sources and then reclaim our peace. We've got two more, and then we'll go ahead and go back to the workbook. I will, like I said, give you some time afterwards because I really want you to finish going through this and really figure out how you are landing in this assessment because you need to understand where your starting point is so that we can work towards improvement. Emotional resilience. When life throws a curveball, how quickly do you bounce back? So, what I'd love for you to do is just reflect on a recent challenge, what helped you overcome it, and then what could you do differently next time? When money is an issue, when relationships are challenged or strained, when things aren't working out the way that we want them to work out, when health is an issue, it's very challenging for us to show up like we need to show up. It can be very easy for life's punches, quite honestly, to just kind of take us out. And so you really need to be thinking about this. How emotionally resilient am I? Am I taking everything as a personal attack on me? Or am I saying this is just kind of par for the course? There are going to be ups and downs in life, and I need to make sure that I understand how to navigate through them, right? We talked about navigating through instead of away from or out of something to get to that next level. Um, my pastor says that you're always at one point where you're either entering a storm, you're in the middle of a storm, or you're about to exit a storm. So the reality is, most of the time you're getting wet, right? you're, you're being pounded by life, things are happening, and you're trying to figure out what you need to do. Each and every setback should be able to set you up for the best way to navigate it in the future because it will happen again, right? Because history tends to repeat itself. So just if we can think about things maybe in that way, it might be a little bit more easy to handle some of these things as they come our way. So that's what I mean by emotional resilience. It's not just about surviving these things that are happening, it's really about thriving through adversity, trying to understand what it is that is being taught at the time, right? What am I being positioned for in the future? So it's really just being mindful of those things. And then the third thing is going to be our joy factor. How often do you feel pure joy in your day to day life? I mean, as adults, I know sometimes it can be hard. Like joy and childlike things have been beaten out of us, from being in corporate or from being in other working scenarios, and dealing with relationships that didn't work out, dealing with people, that may have hurt our feelings or all the things that kind of happen, losing loved ones or maybe being sick ourselves. Like life takes a toll, but you have to remember to just claim joy. So again, the question is, how often do you feel pure joy in your day-to-day life? And what I would just love for you to do after you think about that really briefly is identify three activities that bring you joy and plan to incorporate them into your week. Some of the things that bring me joy are dancing, eating really good food, spending time with my family. I try to incorporate those every day. Okay. That helps me when those, challenging times start to hit. When things didn't work out the way you thought they'd work out, when you had a proposal that you sent out and you had agreement to work with somebody, and then all of a sudden they change their mind. These are the type of things that happen. And so you just have to be able to not take it personally, quite honestly, because a lot of times people are scared. So you have to ask yourself, did I convey my value and the transformation received well enough for them to feel secure in making this investment? Or is now just maybe not the right time? So it's like not internalizing these things, not making it personal. It's not because they don't like you and you're a bad person and you stink. It's just maybe you didn't convey the message well enough for them to say, I feel secure in making this investment. Take my credit card. So just think about these things. Okay. And I just want to say that joy isn't a luxury, it's a necessity for a life well lived. We should all have joy. Okay. It's not after I do X, Y, and Z, then I'll feel joyful. It's claiming joy every day, regardless of what's happening. After we focus on this, the next things I'm going to ask you to do is really focus on the remainder of this worksheet. This is very important. Again, like I mentioned, we're going to be talking about the physical well being. Obviously, your body is your temple, and you want to identify how well you're treating it. So we're looking at energy levels, our movement routine. Are you moving every day? Nutrition check. Are you filling your body with what it needs to thrive? Are we eating well? Or are we skipping meals and then eating like granola bars at the end of the day and Red Bull all throughout the day, right? You know what I mean? So it's things like that. Because if we are doing that, that's not taking care of our temple. So it's just being mindful of that, identifying what's happening, and then making those changes. Spiritual well being. You want to connect with something greater. What feeds your soul? Are you a Christian? Is it God? Is it something else? Is it another deity? Are you, Buddhist? Are you maybe you're non-denominational, or maybe you just have a spiritual connection with the world? Like, what is it? Right? So you want to identify that sense of purpose. Do you feel like your life has purpose and meaning? That's very important because if you don't, a lot of times we just kind of flail through life. No real destination, just wherever life kind of takes us. It is what it is. And I'm not saying that that's no way to live, but what I am saying is that if you have goals and dreams, you have to have a plan in place. You've got to put yourself in a position to win, to achieve those goals. So you have to just prepare yourself. Mindfulness. How often do you take time to reflect, meditate, or connect spiritually? And then gratitude, which is so important too. How often do you practice gratitude? And then what you'll do is go through that grading system, and then you'll give you a value or a total for your level of emotional wealth. 1 to 3 is energy bankruptcy. So the energy drains are real and it's time to take action. We'd love to get you out of this hole one step at a time. If you had 4 to 6 points, your energy strapped. So you're hanging in there, but just barely. You've got some positive practices in place, but there's room for growth. 7 to 8 is energy balanced. You're doing well, balancing the ups and downs, but we want to keep refining those practices to maintain this flow. And then finally, 9 to 10 means you're energy wealthy. You're rich in emotional wealth. So we want you to keep up the great work and continue to protect your energy like the precious resource it is, because it is a precious resource, your energy. Here's the thing: time is limited and our physical body is limited. As we age, the things that we were able to do when we were younger, more spry, more fit, more physically, just like, you know, able to bounce back, those types of things change. So you want to make sure that you're keeping your mind and your body sharp and you're able to do the things that are going to take you beyond those physically intensive types of activities. Okay. The action plan after you finish this in reclaiming your power is to identify those top 3 energy drains again. What's weighing you down the most right now? I want you to create an action plan, and then I want you to find an accountability partner. Things tend to work better when we work in pairs or in groups because we have somebody that we can bounce ideas off of. We can have somebody that we can look into the mirror, essentially, and somebody that will give us an unbiased opinion of what's happening. So, accountability partners are very important. So, I hope that you do this exercise and that you find someone to support you in that. You want to make sure that you can find somebody that you can lean on to help you stay committed to your action plan. Reach out and ask for support. All right. And another thing that I recommend is doing this more than once, right? So do it, this week, do it maybe in another week or in the middle of Q3. I mean, just keep looking at it and seeing what that transformation looks like for you. If you're still in the same place, then we know that we need to make some changes. Alrighty, so that was our self-assessment. So now that you've had an opportunity to kind of look at that, I really want you to start thinking about what I need to do to get those energy drainers out of my life. How do I show up as my best self? How do I, despite the challenges that are going on and things that are being faced, how do I position myself to win in this economy, in this quarter, and in your space? Because the reality is, nobody can do what you do. Nobody is you, right? And nobody has had these same exact experiences that you've had. So you are unique. You need to really focus on what your unique value proposition is and how you come to this market and how you're able to really create transformation in the lives of the people that you serve. Okay. I'm going to go back to the workbook real quick and to make sure I'm not missing anything. Hopefully, I haven't had any chats. Let me just check for a sec. And thank you so much for bearing with me. Okay. I'm not seeing anything here. Oh, a couple. Hey. Yes, that doesn't define you. Thank you, Jeanette. That's true. How you deal with it does. Thank you. I appreciate you. Okay, let's go back to our workbook really quickly and then continue to go through this. All right. So we did our self assessment, we set our boundaries. Okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, I want you to identify how close you are to burnout because this is so important. Once you get to burnout, it's it's hard to come back without taking some time to rest yourself, rest your mind, rest your body, rest your spirit, right? Get re-engaged into what it is, get recommitted to what you were doing. So we don't want to reach that period of burnout. So that's why I wanted you to do this assessment. The second question is, what warning signs are flashing red in your life? Is it your health? Are you feeling poorly? Are you having headaches? Are you not sleeping well? Are you gaining weight? Are you losing weight? Are your joints aching? Like, what are the things that you're feeling in your body that's telling you to slow down? Are you getting sick more often? Is it taking longer for you to be able to recuperate and to heal? These are things that we really, really, really must take into consideration and pay attention to because, again, we only get one body and we only get one life. I'd love to give you this immediate action to refuel. I want you to create a self care ritual that you can implement now. So, for example, morning runs to clear your head and boost energy. I get up every morning, I work out, I move my body because I know that it's important. As I'm aging, it's important to do things like weightlifting and training and high intensity interval workouts and things of that nature because the we lose the strength in our muscles and our bones tend to weaken. So it's like making sure that I'm doing things that are going to keep my body strong as well as my mind strong. So, what are some things that you can think about as far as your self care? Maybe for you, it's getting up and meditating, which I also do too. Maybe it's getting a massage every month. Maybe it's, getting your nails done. Maybe it's going out and meeting with the girls and having a nice cocktail. What is it that you can start to incorporate into your daily life that's going to help you move further away from the burnout and then come closer to being more in tuned and aligned with yourself and that joy and that gratitude that we talked about? That's what I want you to start thinking. Today is not going to be a very long day. I don't want to belabor this. Like I said, it's going to be some growth work. Please do go ahead and finish that exercise. I would really love for you to understand what your baseline is for that emotional wealth or your burnout, right? Because we want to know where we need to go from there. Feel free to take notes. And if you need to catch up, at the bottom of this is going to be the link to the replay page. So I would love for you to just check out the replay page. I will have those videos up to you in a couple of hours. But again, if this is something that resonated with you, please let me know in the chat. I'd love to just connect with you further and continue to share things that I think would be impactful and helpful for your business growth. So let me know. I appreciate you. Y'all, can I just tell you how I barely had any tech issues today? And I'm so excited. Won't he do it? Won't he do it? Thank you, Jesus, y'all. Because y'all know how this has been, right? When you're trying to do something great for the people and pour into people, the devil has its way of just showing his nasty face. So I just have to say thank God, thank y'all for just being here with me and for showing up and for being serious about these exercises and doing this and implementing these things because it's going to be a huge benefit for you. And my goal for this experience is for you to have tangible resources and information and tips and techniques and access and support to be able to make that shift that you've been looking for. Because I know a lot of us are out here. I know a lot of us have been feeling stuck and stagnant and depleted. And when we are in that headspace, it's very hard to get out. It's hard to restart. It's hard to figure out, what direction we need to go next in order to kind of reset ourselves. So that's what this was for today. Please join me tomorrow. We're going to be talking about more very fun and interesting things. And actually, we can go ahead and start. We're going to be talking about money mindset mastery. Now, like I said, it's Q4. We need to understand what we need to do to get that money moving, to increase our revenue streams, to be able to leverage different resources and tools that we already have in our businesses to be able to create additional income streams. So that's what we're going to be able to talk about tomorrow. It is the importance of shifting your mindset to expect income and impact in your life and business. A lot of times we have the execution, but we do not have the expectation. So that is why this is what we're going to be talking about tomorrow. Is so important and so exciting. So I do hope to see you there. I'm looking forward to it. And with that, ladies and gents, I'm going to say goodbye. Again, I'm going to ask that you do that homework. Let me know on the page, in the chat, via email, whatever it is, how it goes for you, what your scores were, and what you think you can do to change that and shift that as we continue to go through this experience together. Alrighty. So again, thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, same time, same place. Get excited. Until then, y'all take care. Make sure you grab that link for the workbook. Make sure you grab that link for the assessment and let me know how it goes. Bye bye.